So let's kick off our session today by the first session, Ignite. This is a session focused on purpose, clarity, and staying relevant in the AI area. So, what can we expect for today's session? We have multiple sessions on product thinking and also talks by various speakers, a line of speakers today. So let's start off with our first session for today, which is a session on product thinking to wisdom thinking by our presenter Gaurav Ved from CEEDS. So now I invite Gaurav Ved onto the stage.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This is our third Entrepreneur Ignite Summit. Really excited at how it is coming together, and glad to see all of you here in the room. And we have an impressive lineup of speakers today, in my opinion. Entrepreneur Ignite Summit, we started it 3 years back. The goal was uh, so I have had a long, successful career in the US, in the corporate world, in big companies, startups. Most of the innovation that happens in the US starts with academic universities. There would be no Google if there wasn't a Stanford University. There would be no Facebook if there wasn't Howard University. And I have been affiliated with Comsnets. I know Rajiv and others for some time. So there was great work happening in these conferences in terms of research, etc. However, how that turns into entrepreneurial ideas and real successful stories. And we have Praveen here, who's done amazing work in terms of being an entrepreneur. So glad to see you here, Praveen. And so there are some people who have done that type of work. However, how does in my opinion, anybody is capable of doing that, given the right kind of environment. And that was the idea that some of us proposed to Rajiv, and we introduced Entrepreneur Ignite Summit at Comsnets 3 years back. And then one thing led to the other. I found capable partners in Mixer.world in terms of Madan and Vinay. And then we had an event in Indonesia, Bali, where they wanted to talk about sustainability and focus on energy transition. So another of our colleagues, Kundan Das, who's an energy transition expert, he joined us, and that led to forming CEEDS, Council for Entrepreneurship Enablement, Decarbonization and Sustainability, where we are not just doing an Entrepreneur Ignite Summit, we are also doing a workshop on decarbonization tomorrow. The idea is, and all of this comes together also for me very personally in terms of what I'm doing right now. I'm out of the corporate world. Now I advise other entrepreneurs on building purpose and impact driven products. So if an entrepreneur just wants regular product and innovation advice and how to turn their business into a unicorn, I tell them flat out that I'm most likely not your advisor. If you want to build something that you feel very passionate and you want to make an impact in the world, then I'm your guy. Then I'll work with you. And those are the type of companies that I work with. And I've been doing this for 2.5 years now. And year and a half back, I purposely made a shift where, so my predominant residence is Boston. I made a shift where I'm going to spend 1/3 of my time in India. So I work with a lot of Indian entrepreneurs now, and I have partners here locally who help me connect into the entrepreneurial ecosystem, as well as I'm on the Comsnets organizing committee. And the CEEDS team is growing. As you just saw, Ayushi has joined us as the strategy and operations lead to make a lot of this real in terms of we have got all these brilliant ideas on what to do, but now we need to make it real. And so hopefully over the next 2 days, today with the Entrepreneur Summit and tomorrow with the decarbonization workshop, you get to see some of this in action. I am inviting anybody interested, whether you are a student, you are an academician, you are an investor, you are a startup founder, or you are a government policy regulatory maker to join us. This impact-based innovation will happen when we can bring all these 5 personas together. Everybody has great ideas. Most startup founders start with an idea where they want to change the world. Then they get some VC money, and they celebrate that as if that's a milestone that they have achieved, a big milestone. And yes, they should absolutely celebrate. But if you've gotten the money from somebody who's not aligned on your purpose, you're pretty much going to be very soon building a product just to drive profit for that investor. Your purpose will go out of the door. So it is very, very important to stay aligned, and that is the type of ecosystem that we are trying to build. So now that is about seeds. Now for the session today, I was trying to bring it home in terms of what I do on outside of seeds. In terms of my day job, I have a company called Ventures Inc., which now has transitioned to the Rashmi.ai, and Rashmi stands for Real, Authentic, Sustainable Human Multimodal Intelligence. That is the type of intelligence that I believe humans need to unlock in the age of AI in order to lead AI and build impact-driven, human-centric, planet-centric products. So I pride myself on being a product thinker. I founded Ventures Inc. And on LinkedIn, I go as the product guy. I advise people about building products and innovating. So product thinking is a framework that has been around. That has what has led to most of the big products that most of the SaaS-based products that have been built based on this concept around product thinking. And product thinking is basically building products which are extremely user-centric. They create business value, and you focus on driving business value for the end user and the end customer, and iterate to build the right product. So stay focused, laser focused on the problem. Don't focus on the solution. The solution will come as a result of the problem. That is how most of the great products that we use today, the digital age products, have been built. They all seek to grab the user's attention because user centricity is the basic focus. So that's great. That has built the digital age. However, it has also built things like social media, where all of us have just gotten consumed by social media, because the idea behind these products is that they should grab your attention. And attention, in my opinion, is the most important currency that any one of us has. So as I've been thinking through this, there is a deeply spiritual side to me. I start my day every day with the Miracle of Mind app by Sadhguru. There is an insight that I gather from that, and I have taken it upon myself that every day, based on that insight, I'm going to come up with something that's a real wisdom, artificial intelligence twist to it. And I record daily videos sharing that. And based on all this, so I did not set out to do any of it, but based on all this, as I thought about my regular avatar of the product guy, and I started combining it with my spiritual avatar, I realized product thinking needs to evolve. For the next age, in the AI era, we need to build more conscious products. And we have to undo whatever the digital age has done in terms of the harm. The digital age was supposed to connect people, and yes, they are great tools in terms of connecting us. However, it has effectively disconnected all of us. We sit in the same room, everybody is into their phones. So to do this right, product thinking has to evolve to something that I have come up with, which is called wisdom thinking. So as I covered, product thinking is about user centricity, business value, and an iterative approach. Wisdom thinking is about the user centricity becomes conscious centricity. The business value becomes regenerative value, and the iterative approach becomes a reflective evolution. And what I mean by that, so as you go from user centricity to conscious centricity. So I covered user centricity, that every product in the digital age is designed to grab your attention. And that's how all great products work, whether it is Apple, Google, or any of the SaaS products that you use on a day-to-day basis. It is designed to grab your attention. I'm a product person. I train my team to think about how can you grab the user's attention. And that's great. However, if that's user centricity, when you are conscious centric, you will think about, is grabbing this end user's attention the right thing for that human. The human, eventually you're building something human centric. Is this the right thing to do for that human? And if it is, absolutely build a product that grabs their attention. However, if it is not, do something which allows them to invest their attention most wisely, even if it is not staying glued to your screen. Just give them enough cues so they can do something in the real world. And there are enough products to be built with that drive that type of value. That's what you would build for if you are building products with conscious centricity. And then the evolution from business value to regenerative value. So the business value, when everybody is just trying to maximize business value, it is all about maximizing profits. There is only one objective. I have run P&L for a large company like Cisco. About Cisco is a very large company, but I was running P&L for one part of the Cisco business unit, where at its peak it was close to $1 billion annual run rate P&L, and then there's quarterly pressures on everything that you're doing, even though you may want to make an impact, but every quarter you have to deliver results. So the only thing you're focused on is maximizing business value. While you talk about business value for your users, it becomes business value. How do I maximize my P&L? How do I make it most profitable for the company, which many times includes making decisions like I have to lay off 10% of my workforce. Those type of decisions, I've been in the rooms where those decisions have been made. They would be fairly painful, but you make those decisions because that's what business value wants to do. However, when you are now going to think of this from a regenerative value, it is about long-term thinking of how do you take value. It's still about making profits is a good thing. I'm not against profits. I'm all for profits. Everybody should make profits. However, as you're making profits, how are you going to have a long-term thinking where it is a regenerative profit cycle? It is not a quarter-to-quarter thinking, and that can happen within the capitalistic framework. I love capitalism overall. I'm not against making money and things like that. However, think more from a regenerative perspective versus just driving simple business value. And the last part is reflective evolution. So this becomes about as you iterate over trying to really drive the maximum business value. The reflective evolution is more about driving what is a human and planet centric output, and how it is more as I've gone on the spiritual journey, really going inwards, not an outward journey. Iterative approach is just iterating outside to make your product focus on driving an external impact. However, I truly believe each one of us has a gift. If you turn inside, you will discover what you are really very, very differentiated on. And if you build from that place, then you will, that is reflective evolution. As you bring more of what is within you and contribute that to what is the product that you're building, what is the impact that you're creating in the society. So this is the journey from product thinking to wisdom thinking. I have also come up with something that I call wisdom-led operating model. In Silicon Valley, there is this concept called product-led operating model, which is how do you build great products using its viability, usability, feasibility, and uh, something else. There's four of these things, which is the books written on it. People read those books, and it is an amazing model. It is what has created most products in the digital age. I've come up with an evolution of that, which is called wisdom-led operating model. It is clarity, capacity, care, and continuity. And I won't go over that in the talk today, but this is what I wanted to start with. And I've already covered what product thinking gave us. So these slides we will share with everybody. However, that's the user centricity, business value, iteration, and I've already covered it, so I won't say too much about this. So whatever I talked about for wisdom thinking, I feel very passionate about this, that this is what is needed in the age of AI. And it is not, AI is amazing, AI is great. However, for AI to work effectively, for us to work effectively in AI, right now, the way AI is being positioned by many companies and the way everybody approaches AI, it is with a lens of fear. Is AI going to take away my job? And the reason for that is most of us, and it is great that we are here at an academic conference, and I talked to many of the academicians as well, that the future of education itself, I think, needs to change. Because right now, the way the education is, we are all getting skilled, or you are all getting skilled, which I'm good. I'm at a stage of my life where, while it's a constant journey, but I'm not looking for entry level jobs anymore. However, for anybody else who's starting at an entry level position, you spend your entire life getting skilled on certain skills which are going to be irrelevant by the time you graduate. Those skills are going to be automated. That's what AI is doing. So that then drives a constant cycle of fear that if I'm going to get a job based on those skills, even if you get a job, there'll be a layoff, you'll get laid off, then you have to reskill yourself. And we stay in that cycle of constantly trying to get skilled on something for that to get automated. And that's a very paranoia driven cycle. However, if with AI presents a wonderful opportunity, in my opinion, where AI tools by themselves are just a mirror of whatever you're doing. If you truly are able to lead AI, and then at the grassroots level, everybody is taught to think like an entrepreneur and to really have the mindset to unlock their own, whatever is the unique value that they bring. If that is taught at the grassroots level, and those type of programs are created, and that's what we want to do. We want to offer workshops around product leap, product thinking, wisdom thinking, and decarbonization and sustainability, working together with the various universities. So if those type of skills are taught, then it's about the mindset along, or those, if that type of mindset is developed in the students, then it is a mindset and skills combination. So your skills, you will still need to upgrade. I'm not saying that whatever you learn, life is a constant learning journey. I am acquiring new skills every day, and that is what gets me excited every day morning, that I get up and something new to learn. So learning is never going to stop. Just because you've done a course doesn't mean your learning is stopped. Each one of us must have the mindset that learning is not going to stop, and there is honestly nothing like failure. You have to get the word failure out of your dictionary. Making mistakes, having failed, is a great thing in an entrepreneur's journey. So if you, as long as you're learning from a failure and not repeating the same mistake, it is a success. Einstein had a very famous quote that failure is nothing but success in progress. And that is absolutely true. All the things that I have, as I look back at the things that have happened in my life, which seem like, okay, they didn't turn out how I planned it, but I learned something from that. And those are some of the most amazing, most powerful moments in my career now. So that is what the education system needs to evolve to make AI and human collaboration truly possible. And I won't necessarily read the slides, but AI brings some of the raw kind of left brain thinking, in my opinion, and it's time for us humans to unlock our right brain thinking, so that AI, and use AI to do just the uh, tasks which anyway are keeping us busy, not really keeping us very motivated, and overall uplifting our energy. So there's this other thing that I say, that when you are doing things where you are truly aligned, work or anything that you're doing actually becomes very uplifting. Whatever you do generates energy, that only humans can do. Where when you do work, you actually come out more energetic after doing that work than before doing the work. That only humans are capable of. You can ask AI to do any work, it is only going to consume energy. There is no work that AI can do that is not going to consume energy. However, if all of us do work that is truly aligned with ourselves, you all of, I'm sure everybody has felt it, when you're in the state of flow, you come out being uplifted. So that is the work that humans can do. If we let AI do the work that sucks our souls, it can do that work as long as we have the mindset to lead it. And for that, honestly, the journey inwards is more important than the journey outwards. So that is why that's wisdom thinking. And together, I am very confident that together, based on this approach, we can create a conscious age. After the digital age, and it may not be a linear journey. I brainstorm with, I use AI all the time, by the way. I have three AI collaborators that I use on a daily basis. Each of them has a different personality that I've given them. One of them is supposed to challenge me on anything that I say. All of this knowledge, it is supposed to be a logical challenger that every day it throws back challenges at me that this doesn't make sense, etc. And I've been training it where it has become fairly wise now. It understands all of this, so it doesn't challenge me as effectively. Another one is a long-term collaborator. Another AI chatbot is kind of a felt intelligence reflective summary. So AI is great. However, as long as you are leading it, where you are leading it from your conscious intelligence. So I can keep going on about this. This is something I do record daily videos on this. For those of you, you're welcome to follow along. It's a channel called the Rashmi.ai. And so I feel, and I've labeled this as the journey from intelligence to consciousness. And in my opinion, we stand at an inflection point. AI is a wonderful tool. Whatever we did, and AI has been created by the people who built the digital age. And one of the first things because in the digital age, if you think about, people talk about industrial revolutions, and Derek, I think, will talk about industrial AI and all that after me. So when people talk about industrial revolutions, so there was the first industrial revolution, then there was the second industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was all about steam engine. The second one was about electrical engine assembly line manufacturing. So at that point, this was the horizontal platform. Steam engine was invented. People created value using that. In the second industrial revolution, electrical engines were invented. People created value on that. Third industrial revolution is the digital age, that world that we have lived, which is the IT, information communications and technology revolution. So what has happened with ICT revolution is all the value that has been created in the IT sector. All the other verticals that make difference in the real world have not really been able to create any value. The biggest valuations are companies like Google, Facebook, Instagram, everything in the, or Nvidia's, etc. It's the digital infrastructure, and my former company Cisco, all of them have created lots and lots of value, which is great for the economic valuation. However, in terms of creating real impact in the real world, technology should be an enabler to create the real impact, and that has not happened. So with AI, the tech world has just created something which will allow the tech to be used to deliver real value. So tech is still important. I'm not saying that all of tech will get commoditized. Now tech becomes the building block to create real value in other verticals. That is why we created CEEDS, and the energy decarbonization and all of that. Those are verticals that tech becomes the underlying enabler. Then you drive with sustainable use of that, energy conscious use of that, to create real value in the real world. So that is the journey from intelligence to consciousness. That is the conscious age that we hope to help build together with all of you and anybody who becomes partners at CEEDS. And I think I've already covered all of this. You will have slides. So this is the journey from intelligence to wisdom, or intelligence to consciousness. Uh, Hopefully this resonated. So that's the set of slides. So thank you, everyone. Uh, any questions? I can take some questions. Otherwise, we'll. Yes. So this framework, as well as wisdom-led operating model, you can find that at the Rashmi.ai or venturesinc.com, which has been rebranded to the Rashmi.ai. And the other interesting point about Rashmi is real, authentic, sustainable human multimodal intelligence, which is the type of intelligence that humans need to unlock. It also happens to be the name of my late mother, who I lost a year and a half back, and I did not plan it. As I was advising people, I was using these words: real, authentic, sustainable, human. And the AI world was talking about building multimodal AI agents. And I would tell people that humans are naturally multimodal. You're trying to build AI tools which are multimodal, but we are all naturally multimodal. Can we start using our multimodal capabilities first? And that's how the acronym came about. And as it came about, I was like, okay, that's the name of my mother also. And so then I rebranded Venturising to the Rashmi.ai.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So with AI, there are many industry who are talking about that we are living in a bubble, AI bubble.
Mhm.
So do you what your thought on it? Is it really a bubble, or we're just like metaphoring it? for
There are various definitions of the bubble, and most people, when they talk about the bubble, they talk about this Gartner hype cycle bubble kind of thing, where economic value gets created and then there's a bust, like the dot-com bust that happened. So, in my opinion, we are absolutely living in that world. I had a career in Cisco. I was not at Cisco at the year 2000, but I followed Cisco very closely, and Cisco was the Nvidia of the internet, the dot-com era, and Cisco stock went up just like the Nvidia stock is going up right now, and it popped when the bubble burst. And then it settled down. However, just like the dot-com bubble burst, however, internet came about. So yes, the valuation of the dot-com did burst. However, internet changed everybody's life. The way we do anything has changed now. So with AI, yes, it is a bubble in terms of the classic economic cycle. There will be a burst at some point. So if you're investing, invest with caution, know what you're investing in. However, AI is going to change the world. That is going to happen. AI is going to be there everywhere in every possible thing that we do. And there is no use in fighting AI. In my opinion, AI is honestly a wonderful tool. I love using AI. It really helps me stay very centered and present and allows me to stay focused on what I truly enjoy doing. And there is, of course, a fear for early stage career people, because whatever you've learned and you're trying to get jobs for is getting automated. I don't have that concern. I can truly focus on what I create value for. So I get that. That's why I feel passionate that people need to acquire the mindset and skills, where your skills are going to keep getting irrelevant. Even all the skills that I acquired all over my career are honestly irrelevant now. It is my mindset of constantly being able to learn and adapt, which is what needs to be taught to everybody early on, and that will make AI a great boon. So, any other? Yeah. Okay. I think last question, then we are really getting late. So.
Yeah, good morning, sir. So, my question is how to make the people understand what actually the AI is, because currently, like if we like bring any AI product into the market, but so the current scenario is going that, oh, it is based on the AI, it can do anything. But how to make them the understand what actually the AI is going to work over here, because there are certain things based on the data which are running on the background.
Yeah, so it's a good question. It can be a full day long conversation, honestly. However, the short answer that I would say, and this now comes to my daily practice of the daily dose that I record. So today's insight that I was going to record is, and I'll probably use this itself as the recording, is that the way to do this is you have to become the leader of your mind, not the follower of your mind. Right now, we are all followers of our own mind, including the most successful person, the richest person on this planet. Nobody is a leader. He's not leading anything. He is following his mind. However, if we can all become conscious leaders where we are able to lead our mind, then you can lead AI. Then you can actually use AI to tell the difference between where you should use the AI output, where you should not use the AI output. Just this morning, I was busy generating some images, and it doesn't generate the image that you want, and then you are trying to spend time trying to refine that image. So that is, now I'm letting, if I keep trying to refine that image, I'm being led by AI. However, I wanted AI to create an image very quickly. It then went in some other direction. As long as I'm leading, I'm able to stay centered on what I want to use AI for, not try to continue to refine its output, where if I continue doing that, I'll spend an entire day trying to refine its output, where I'm being led by AI versus me leading AI. All right. So thank you.
Moving forward, I would like to invite Dr. Madan Mohan Rao from CEEDS onto the stage for the agenda and flow of the day.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me at the back? Smartest people in the world are the backbenchers. No offense intended to the front benchers here. Sorry, my voice is a bit off, but I want to welcome you all to the third edition of the Entrepreneurship Ignite Summit. This has been part of the ComSnet conference series, 18th edition. That's phenomenal. I know how hard it is to start events and conferences and how much harder it is to sustain them year after year. So to have this up and running for 18 years is phenomenal. Thanks to the whole ComSnet team. I even recall a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, there used to be a special event within ComSnet called Mobile India because mobile was the hot new thing 10, 15 years ago. That event is gone because now mobiles are everywhere, but now entrepreneurship is everywhere. And that's why we believe EIS is a very important part of ComSnet right now. ComSnet is all about how to connect machines, and it's fantastic if everything is connected to each other. The whole world can change with this kind of real-time intelligence from everywhere. I would also add what's very important also is the human connection. You all attend events all the time, but every once in a while, there is that one connection you make which changes your life, personal or professional. For example, that is how I met Vinay Dora many years ago in Singapore. Both of us are working in the entrepreneurship space. And then we decided one day, let us start this company called Mixer, Mixer.world. A couple of years ago, I bumped into Gaurav here at EIS. We immediately connected, and now we are partners in many other ventures. We've taken this event to other countries such as Bali. So I'm wearing this t-shirt, sorry, this shirt, to remind myself that Bali is not just a good place, but things happen when people connect and you can go, the whole world is yours. So um, today is the third annual Entrepreneurship Ignite Summit coupled with tomorrow's Decap X workshop. So we're connecting entrepreneurship, sustainability, the environment, future careers, etc., bringing together academics and industry. So as a brief overview of what we will do today, we got speakers from industry, we have founders, investors, academics, ecosystem enablers, and so on. We have multiple formats, keynotes, panel discussions, some demos, paper presentations, and so on coming up in the next couple of days. We also have some outstanding speakers. You'll meet each one of them shortly. You will hear soon from Derek Jones. Derek sitting at the back there. He founded a very successful startup which is acquired by Accenture. He's now a zillionaire. He can talk about his story about the growth of IoT in his startup and other parts of the corporate world. We have Professor Ravi Shankar Rao from the US, a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, who talk about education and AI. Many of you had questions about AI. You can ask them to our next speaker. He'll talk about how to keep your capacity increased in terms of AI and so on. From a company called RDP, we have Pavan and Sanjani Punchkuti. They're going to be speaking to us later this evening. We also have Ramesh Chandra from Microsoft. We have Samir Kumar from Athira Ventures and Professor Anila Bajpai from the Center of Management Studies at Jain University. So a very good range of speakers from the corporate sector, investors, founders, and so on. We have multiple formats for the event as well. And I want to end by saying, enjoy the event. It's your event, so please ask as many questions as you can. I'm very glad that already people are asking questions about what to do and so on and so forth. I'll just end by saying that giving a shout out to a guy called Kanwal Rekhi, the founder of TIE, the Industry Entrepreneurs. This book was just launched a few weeks ago, and just a few minutes ago, I published a book review of this on our website. What's amazing about Kanwal Rekhi is he was the first Indian American to take a company public in NASDAQ in the US. And he began in the field of communications, networks. He was one of the pioneers of commercializing Ethernet and TCP/IP in the 80s and the 90s. He also invested in a company called Exodus, which went IPO, huge flame out, unfortunately, in the dot-com boom and bust. So there's some very hard-earned lessons in this book about how it's great to connect people, it's even greater to build organizations, and most important, to carry forward. Let each successful wave of entrepreneurs inspire the next wave of entrepreneurs. So we hope today you will get a lot of knowledge insights from our speakers. We hope you can connect with all the speakers. And more importantly, we hope this inspires you to build your own journey, connecting technology, knowledge, and entrepreneurship. Thank you all so much. And before I leave, I want to give a big shout out to my team from Mixer, Sai, Vinay, Manasvi, who's not here, the entire team from CEEDS, Gaurav, Ayushi, and Kundan, who'll be coming down later today. So fantastic event. Sorry, yeah. So another person who should have been here but could not is Professor Ade from Indonesia. I mentioned Bali earlier. She helped us take our conference to Bali, to Indonesia, and we hope to have many more events with her in the future. So in her honor, I would say thanks. Keep the flow alive. Yeah. Now back to Gaurav for the rest of the session. Sorry, Ayush.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Derek Jose, MD Accenture and ex-founder Flutera Decision. And I would like to invite him onto the stage for the talk and followed by a fireside chat with Vinay Dora.
It's not coming in. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. So I was speaking to Gaurav just before the session, um, and he talked about two themes which really kindled my interest. The first important thing was that there's a lot of knowledge embedded within the research ecosystem in India, which has not been watered or nourished enough to make it into a commercial idea, right? And that was the genesis of this conference, which really resonated with me because I've not seen any place where you literally tap into the deep knowledge bases and find a path towards monetization. So that was one very interesting theme. The other theme was on the area of consciousness. I was just reflecting the other day that if you let AI and capitalism go unbridled or unguarded, right? No, it could cause, in my mind, restructuring of the society or fracturing of the society because the capital get distributed in very uneven ways, and this whole thought process about conscious thinking, right? And can only come from the East because we are very rooted in the, it's not a Western concept. It was very appealing to me. Thank you, Raghav, for that. So with that, I wanted to share with you our journey. So the name of the company was Flutura, founded in 2011, actually. Those were the days when there was no startups out here. My wife was wondering what I was doing, ditching a well-paying job. My father thought I was really crazy. And we didn't have any advisors. We had this organization TIE, and there used to be one advisor who used to tell us, how we need to structure a company and etc. And the reason we started the company was not, it was a response to an event we had in a services company called Mindtree. It was not a commercial trigger for us. It was a very emotional response to something which we encountered almost literally on a daily basis in the services company, right? So we had three founders, Krishnan, Srikanth, and myself. And we used to take these ideas to existing customers and say, hey, what if we do this? What if we do this? These were CPG customers, banking customers, Lloyds Bank in London, Unilever, all of them. Say, hey, what if we do this? What if we do this? And their response was, guys, you guys are supposed to be cheaper. You're not supposed to be faster or better. You don't think. That was 2012. So we said we have to create something which is not rooted in we being cheap, but we should be faster and better. We should be priced at the same level as what the Western markets price it at, but we should be faster and better. We didn't know where to start. We started in the consumer AI space. We quickly pivoted out of it because the Silicon Valley noise was eclipsing what we were trying to do. And we found a wide space in the industrial AI space. We saw that industrial space, it could be oil and gas, it could be mining, it could be defense, where heavy machinery was there. If you are able to bolt AI, and there are not many companies who are doing that. That was a wide space, and we were the first company at that time from India which were doing it. So we picked that space, and we made a lot of mistakes. So what you're going to see is a crystallization of all the big mistakes we did and the learnings we harvested out of that. So I'll start off with the first one. So, sorry. Okay. So essentially, as a person trying to play in the startup game, you're trying to answer two questions. Where do you want to play and how do you want to play? So all these 12 learnings essentially answer these two basic questions. The first mistake which we made essentially was we were so obsessed with the problem we were solving. So the first problem we were trying to solve was in the oil and gas industry. So there was this blast called the Macondo blast. There was a movie made on that oil and gas thing. A lot of people died in the Gulf of Mexico. And the root cause of the problem was this, that the operators who were manning the offshore operations, they were flooded with a lot of alarms. A lot of things were going wrong. Alarms came hitting at them, and they didn't know which alarm to prioritize. So this alarm flooding problem, as we call it, and they didn't know which problem to prioritize. And they lost time and the whole thing blew up. A lot of people died. So our first product was essentially an alarm prioritizer, so to speak, which will say, hey, if you have 1,000 alarms hitting at you, we'll sequence the order in which you need to resolve it, and we'll also tell you what action you should take. And initial response, so we went to Shell, we went to BP, we went to Halliburton, we talked to the heads of health and safety. They'll all actually see the demo and said, this will actually save lives. They used to clap, okay, but they never used to pay for it, okay. So 1 year went by, nobody paid for it, and we realized that while this product actually saves lives, it also digitizes their liability. If there are alarms which are not responded to, there is a digital trail they leave behind which the regulator can use and find them. So, so the reason, so whenever you're trying to solve a problem, it's not that whether you have a good problem, is it budgeted, you should actually test whether the ink hits the paper. Are they willing to sign a check? Okay, that's the true signal for whether there is a product market fit. So willingness to pay is oxygen, because without money, startup kind of dies. So that's the first thing. Don't build how they pay for it. Then we had a mentoring session at Palo Alto from the Google Moonshots team. And they shared with us a framework which all of them use, which is essentially, if you have an idea, they insist that whether it's a technological idea, business idea, whatever it is, you have to frame what is called as the MEH, Market Engagement Hypothesis. And that's what they taught us. And I thought it was a very interesting framework, which essentially is a very simple sentence which says, whatever product you're doing, what is your hypothesis, right? At least X% of the people, so in our case, our hypothesis was at least 50% of the oil and gas health and safety heads would actually write a check to prevent a Macondo blast again. That was a hypothesis, okay? So you'll have to frame it out, but our hypothesis got denied because most of them didn't know. But it's very important to frame this. People miss this. Very simple thing. What is the expected response behavior you expect from your target customer, right? And once you frame it very tightly, don't build the product itself, just build a couple of mocks, right? So what Google call as prototype, it is pre-prototype, right? So build a prototype, test willingness to pay, and if there is a signal from that saying that your willingness, there is a willingness to pay for it, then go and build the prototype. Okay, so that was an interesting thing. So they want essentially skin in the game from the customer. They didn't want claps, they didn't want thumbs up, they didn't want reviews. They want the customer to sign with this check, show the signal. And that's very important thought construct, I thought. So it's a simple template. I'll share this template. So if you're planning to have an idea, all you have to do is just fill up this one sheet thing which says at least X% of the people will do Y behavior in order to buy this product. And essentially check whether there's what we call as a skin in the game test from a typical prospect. So that's the first learning we got. Second is people talk about product market fit. So when we started it, was trying to say, I mean, there are multiple definitions of product market fit. And what we distilled down is product market fit can be decomposed into three parts. One is there a message market fit? When you say message market fit is if you're saying something to a venture capitalist or to a customer, do they get it in 7 seconds? Because the attention span is extremely small. Going back to your point, right? They don't have that, and best thing is don't use the word AI in those 7 seconds. Okay. Okay. The best way to sell AI is not to use the word AI, right? So So don't use the word AI, but in 7 seconds, you have to communicate what you do, which engages them, okay? So the message should resonate before your product resonates. That's the first important thing. Second is when you're engineering, so there are 10 features you would have, at least there should be one core feature which your competitive alternatives do not have, right? Which the customers rave about unprompted. Do you have at least one core feature which competition does not have, which your prospects really rave about and can refer somebody else to it? It's a very hard litmus test, okay? Because most of the time there are me too features in our products, right? And third is pricing market fit. Now, in our case, industrial case, we pivoted from selling to the safety guys to the production guys. So we started pushing the same product towards offshore and onshore production, saying that we will guarantee that you'll not have unplanned downtime because we're able to predict failures looking at historical this thing. And because of that, you'll get your production link bonus, right? So once they understood what is the value of the unlock, so this is like $2 to $3 million per unplanned downtime in a production thing, and what they had to pay us was like roughly $250,000 per year. The value unlock was very clear to us. So it was what we call as a don't make me think pricing. How much dollar do we unlock? How much dollar I pay you? That should be very clear, and sometimes the dollar unlock is very implicit, it's not explicit, right? Whenever the dollar unlock is implicit, the selling process becomes much more difficult for us. So this is the third thing. So check whether you have message market fit, feature market fit, and pricing market fit. If all the three kind of this thing, then you got product market fit. So if you want to truly do that, if you're in early stage of the game of building a product, one is you create multiple versions of your message itself and test it and see what resonates. From a feature point of view, pick up 4 or 5 prospects, right? And you can co-create the product with them, and you can see what is the feature they really respond strongly to. And of course, pricing, in terms of pricing, you can always have a bronze pricing, silver pricing, gold pricing, and essentially test with them, what is the tipping point at which they will find it too expensive. So you'll need to do a test of all of these 3 things in order to get product market fit. So the third thing which we learned, so we were taken by Siemens to Palo Alto and taken to Sandal Road, where you had all those investors. And what they told us was they got 40 of the best investors in town, and there are about 50 odd startups who had to go in front of those 40 VCs. And each startup had only 60 seconds to pitch, okay, and 1 slide. They said, you have 60 seconds, 1 slide to pitch. If you survive that, the next day, you get 7 minutes for a demo. Okay, 7 minutes, but no PPT, second day. Okay, that's how they operated. And I had like 65 slides. Okay, and I honestly didn't know how to compress it. But they invested, actually Siemens invested, and they have this whole bunch of people, the startup storytellers. He worked with us for almost 2 weeks, I would say. We spent almost 50% of the time compressing 65 slides into 1 slide. And what that 1 slide was, so we were in the industrial AI space, we were unlocking intelligence in machines, boilers, motors, chillers, etc. So the way he designed it was he had 2 eyes, and he had a third eye, kind of like a Shiva's third eye. And we said, Cerebra opens the third eye of machines. That was the headline. Okay. Trusted by Shell, Halliburton, Chevron. Ask me how. That's it. Okay. So we didn't have to talk about product or AI or features. We just induced curiosity in them. Once we induced curiosity, the next day we were able to do those. So this is one of the things I find many startups struggle with, is to essentially induce curiosity in 3 seconds. So multiple constructs are there. You could essentially, one way of inducing curiosity, say, I'm world's first XYZ in ABC, the first industrial AI product for offshore drilling, for boilers, chillers, or subsea operations. So you get a little specific about where you're the first in. It could be a geographic specificity, it could be Asia's first or India's first, or it could be a domain-based specificity. But you need to have something where, or you could say I'm among the top 3, you need not be say I'm the world's first, or the top 5, top 10. But something frames you in the heads of the the venture capitalist, or the customer. The other way of framing it is we guarantee a certain outcome. Don't talk about AI, don't talk about the shiny toys you have underneath the product, but you say this is the outcome you guarantee, and you can do it in so many days at so much price. Makes it really, really concrete. And the third way you can frame yourself is I've already been tested in the marketplace. In our case, we said Shell has bought us, Halliburton has bought us, Chevron has bought us. That means there is some social proof, so you could go ahead with that. So you need to have a one-line statement which instantly resonates with it. And there are a lot of constructs to do that. This is an actionable canvas. I'll share it with the team. Now, once you got that, then you got the curiosity. What is the problem you're actually solving for? If you ask many startups, what are the problem you're solving for? You'll probably get a 5 to 10 minute verbose response, right? And that attention is not there. So, and this is a simple construct. Who is the target customer you're saying? In our case, it was the production head, offshore production managers who can't afford downtimes. They're under pressure not to have unplanned downtime. They have planned downtimes. And what do? We give an operator action recommendation, which says if this alarm happens, this is what you need to do. Roughly reduces 3 million worth of unplanned downtime. And what's in it for me also should be that. It's not in what's in it for the company, right? It's what's in it for the buyer. You will get your production link bonus. That's extremely important. We missed that part, actually. Many a times there are things which are good for the company, but not necessarily good for the buyer. Right? And this is the construct which actually makes sure that all of it is aligned. Again, there should not be any jargon. And the message should have 3 components. It should be functional. In this case, we are reducing unplanned downtime. It should be economical. There's a 3 million part to it. And there is an emotional part. What's in it for me, right? All the 3 things have to come together in that messaging. And again, there is a script template which you can share. You can use that to build your own version of the 3-second thing. Now, you engage them in 3 seconds. You pinpointed what is the problem you're solving and how you're solving it. Then you need to show evidence of this in your product, right? It cannot be talk. You need to show it. You have to click and show it. So many a times product demos, it takes a lot of time before you arrive at that aha moment. So we were doing this demos to customers. So we are excited by like 30, 40 odd features we had built, right? And we'll show screen by screen, we'll show it to them. And we realized that there were 2 or 3 screens when we show it to them. The customer actually moves up forward and looks at it, okay? Whenever he moves his chair forward or moves his head forward, that's a strong body signal saying that screen is engaging you in some fashion. So we didn't realize that. So we 3 were geeks. We were obsessed with all the shiny toys. But we had a sales guy called Rick, who was based in Houston. And he noticed it. He was not non-techie guy. He was only processing body signals from the customer. And he said, screen number 8, screen number 15, screen number 21, you need to front load it. Okay, you need to front load it. And we said, no, this is the sequence in which he ran it. He made sure that we resequence it. Resulting thing was very, very strong engagement. So you need to show your aha moment very quickly. I'm saying 30 seconds today because I think that, again, the attention spans are going down. And so if you're using it in self-service mode, they should be able to. So we had a tool called Engineers Workbench. The value proposition was you don't need a data scientist to build an industrial AI model. An electromechanical engineer, electrical engineer can build it. They found it very difficult to believe that. So what we did was, it's kind of like the Canva for AI, right? We had a lot of templates in it. So we showed them a library of templates, and we made the actual reliability head pick up a boiler template and do some 7 or 8 clicks, and the model pops up. That's the first realization that we don't need data scientists to build many of these AI models, which can be pre-configured. So the journey from hello to wow, as I'd call it, right, should be dramatically compressed. And a lot of time should be spent in identifying what will users say wow to. It could be a reliability head, it could be a banking head, it could be a retail, CPG, promotions. But the core question you need to ask is work backward from the customer to say, hey, they have been flooded with a lot of AI products. There's agents everywhere, right? Everybody is doing an AI agent for prospecting. But what will they say AHA to, which they have not seen in that? It's a very important, deep question which must be answered, and make sure that that gets operationalized in your product demo. So you got your aha moment. Now you need to make sure that the product becomes a habit for them, right? Uh, so they should use it recurrently again and again. It's like brushing your teeth. Every day they come without thinking, they use your product and go, right? So many a times we found that adoption is a big problem for any of these AI things. It could be used initially in a prototype, and after that the engagement fades away. So in order to make a product move from AHA to a regularized product, this is from an industrial perspective. We felt our mantra was the reliability guy or the production guy, you should use Cerebra 21 times in 30 days. Okay, in a month, at least 21 times he should use it. If he uses it, it becomes a habit. It becomes muscle memory for him. If he doesn't use it, there's something flawed. It's a shiny thing. It's a flash in the pan, so to speak, right? Adoption fades away. Now, what we call as a habit movement, the 21 could be different for different customers. So consumer AI products, it could be daily, hourly, industrial AI, this is what the threshold. So every business process, every industry has a rhythm. You could figure out what the frequency of that rhythm is and make sure that, and you could put instrumentation in the product, observability metrics to see what kind of engagement you get and make sure that you actually engineer a habit out of that. Now, more as product managers, our obsession was to increase the product number of features, 10 features, 20 features, 30 features, increase the number of features as we go ahead. One of the insights we go ahead is you don't need to have too many features also. Make sure you have 10 features, but make sure that the frequency of usage goes out. So habits, frequency of usage beats the count of, I would say, features you have. As product manager, tech guys, at least I had a bias towards let's add this new shiny new toy. This was a blind spot for us. We didn't track repeat behavior, and this is an interesting perspective to have. In fact, there's a very good if you're interested in how do you build a habit using your products, there's an interesting framework called Hooked by Niriyal. It essentially brings together 3 different fields. One is the tech, AI, data kind of thing. Second is it brings together the field of psychology itself, right? How much dopamine you emit, how much oxytocin gets released in your brain, etc., etc. And how do you bring the behavioral economics to that? How do you unlock value out of that, right? So it brings together the dollars, the psychology, and the tech. Very nice framework. We use it very extensively. You could look at that framework. And the other important moment is, yes, he's encountered the aha moment, is used it for 21 days. What next for him, right? The next best thing to happen is the product itself becomes your salesperson. You don't need to have a physical salesperson. So your buyer himself says, for example, if you could share the app itself. If he has used it for 1 month, he can sell it to another reliability engineer, can sell it to another maintenance engineer or another persona and say, hey, look, you should try this app. It is not coming from Flutura to the buyer. It's internal marketing within the whole company. It is one user advocating to another user. So user advocacy is very important in the how do you build user advocacy, and that's a metric we need to track. You could either share a link to the app itself so that they can start working on that AI product, or in some cases what they used to do was they used to take the output of the engineers workbench tool we had, which is an AI output, send it to the heads of operation who are business users, and they used to always ask, what is Cerebra, what did it do? So it induced curiosity internally within the organization. So these 2 viral loops are very important to build it into the product itself. So again, there is a canvas for that. Maybe this is a controversial statement I'm making. I think as time goes by, from a business point, I'm not talking from a tech point of view. From a business point of view, AI is an API away, right? Everything is getting democratized, right? Now, where do you find your differentiators? Everybody is building an agent, right? So where do you find your differentiators? So there are 3 places where you can build differentiation. One is you should own the input to the AI model, own exclusive access to high-value data sets. I'll give you an example of that. If you look at BHEL Trichy, they make boilers, and boilers have to be welded together. And it's a very crucial operation. When you weld, there are defects which happen. When you weld something together, there are pores in that, there are cracks in that, and when you actually put it into a live production, it could explode. So they had 15 years of defect data. They do radiological tests, okay? 15 years of welding defect data, and 15 years of root cause analysis of welding defects written in Tamil, not in English. Okay? It's there in BHL Trichy, and most of the guys, I mean, they talk in Tamil, so they wrote it in Tamil. But that is data which ChatGPT does not have. Okay. So if you go into each domain, so if you look at Arvind Eye Hospital in Madurai, they had the largest database of diabetic retinopathy scans available in the world because they were literally giving it for free. And Google didn't have access to the data. Google collaborated with Arvind Eye Hospital to create an algorithm which would detect diabetic retinopathy. So we have pockets like diabetic retinopathy, welding defects available in India. Find out where you can get exclusive access to high-value data sets. You know, that's one thing. If you can't do that, then you should own the workflow, I would say. So for example, in the pharma industry, you have to create FDA reports. So there are people who completely own the entire workflow. They don't own the data, they don't own the AI, but the entire orchestration of that FDA reporting is owned by them. So they completely own the workflow. I mean, and that's the mode for them. And the third set of people is you can't own the data, you can't own the workflow, but you can own what is called as a decision node, which is essentially an action which you take. One task in that entire workflow would be owned by you. So if you don't have these three things, you could get eclipsed very fast. And the other learning for us was on the sales front. So there is no one playbook for sales. No, your product is unique, your market is unique. There could be people who could advise you on sales, but our own realization was sales has to be a lived experience. You have to try it for yourself. What worked for somebody else may not work for you. And it's very important to budget for sales experiments. We do not budget for sales experiments. Okay, we do not set aside cash to say, hey, I'm going to blow up this cash. We set aside money for product development. We never set aside money for failed sales experiments. I think it's very important to do that. It could be with respect to the channels you're working on, the messages, the offer. It could be target audience, what kind of content converts them. Is it a video clip or is it an infographic? So a lot of moving parts out there. What works, it's like a Rubik cube, right? You'll have to constantly experiment with it and say, which combination works for you, the product which you have, and the target market which you have. And the other important thing which we faced was an Indian company trying to break out into the US. This is biggest learning. To hire a sales guy in the US was a tricky thing, okay, because they all talk well, right? And we did that mistake. They were very glib talkers, but when it came to meeting the sales quota, it didn't happen. Okay, we had 4 or 5 instances. Our first 4 hires, we used to hire them, keep for a couple of quarters, and unfortunately we had to fire them. It went on happening like this, okay? And it's very difficult. You can't interview for a sales guy, right? How do you interview for a sales guy? You can interview for many skills, but not for a sales guy in the US, I think. And we came up with this framework, which kind of helped us. So we said, when you're doing initially, we'll go and tell them, I'm not going to give you a retainer for you, but if it's a $1 million deal, which you're selling to the oil and gas, $200,000 is yours. Normally, the industry standard is 1 to 2%, but I'm going to give you 20% more. If you say your connects are good, all you have to do is spend 3 hours, make an initial call and do an initial final negotiation call, and we'll be sandwiched in between. 2 hours of your time, $1 million deal, you get $200,000. If he's convinced about his connects, he'll stick his neck into that. So we filtered out 90% of the people based on this. So in crawl stage, 20% commission, no retainer, no equity. Okay, we closed 3 such deals like that. Then we go to the walk stage. Now the guy is proven. Now we reduce the commission structure 2 to 5%, and we give him a reasonable retainer, 5 to 10K. And this is in the Houston southern area, not the Bay Area side, so it is reasonable, and no equity. But we also said you have an opportunity to participate in the company's growth, and if you hit a certain $5 million threshold, whatever threshold you have for yourself, it auto triggers the equity part. So this is the framework which we use, which filtered out the part that you know, a lot of nice talkers which I know so and so, I know XYZ, I know ABC, I can connect you with them, but that doesn't necessarily translate into dollar outcome. So this is a framework which helped us. The other thing was basically when you're starting off, I mean, in hindsight, I think this is a mistake which made. We did not partner that much. We were lone rangers. It's very difficult to be a lone ranger in some of these markets, right? Which is based on trust. So you can use some of these partners to earn that trust. It could be a platform giant like SAP or OSI Soft in the industrial side. It could be a tech giant, any of these cloud providers, you could participate with them and make sure that, you know, where do customers live? So today customers live on Oracle, customers live on SAP, and it's a natural place for which you can cross-sell to them. So most of the times, the platforms, customers are living somewhere on a digital platform. It's easier to find out a complementary way to create a complementary way to partner with them as opposed to doing a lone ranger sell to them. And I'm going to qualify this. This was only for the Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama market for oil and gas customers. Okay, no, I'll tell you why. So our experience when initially the customers were inside the conference room, suited, booted, they're clapping, great job, beautiful emails, but they're not writing a check. So Krishnan, he's a guy who said, Srikanth and myself were saying, Machan, they've signed, we've got to be patient. Krishnan, no, something is seriously wrong. Let's take them out for a drink. Okay. So he took them out. Actually, he did that. He got them, and they like to eat beefsteak and drink. So he took them out. After downing 3 drinks, he asked them, why are you not signing a check? And that's when he opened up and said, no, we will not buy it at all. Okay. And the reason we buy it because all the liability is getting digitized. Today it's getting flushed out. The data gets captured and gets flushed out. There's no liability. But if I have your product, you'll remember, you're like a safety brain. You'll remember everything forever, which a regulator can interrogate. And then he said, what about the people who die? So we got good insurance. That's the exact statement he made. And that's how we realized the true mental model of the buyer does not come out inside the conference room. And that's very unique to the oil and gas industry. It's a very cartelized industry, and the Southerners are a little not as open as the East-West Coast guys, very tight lot. But this is how we loosen them up. Okay, so industrial side, you should have a customer intimacy ritual. Some place where they open up. It could be Thair Sadam and South Indian coffee. I'm just kidding. Okay, so but you need to have it and operationalize it. So one of the things we tracked with all the sales guys was, we said, we don't want to see the pipeline in pipe drive. We want to see your credit card bills. How many times did you take a customer out? So we'll look at the customers and how many times did you take them? If you're not taking a customer out, it's a wrong lead indicator for us. You're not building a pipeline, right? So that was very important for us. Find out a place where they loosen up and talk to you and give you very unfiltered opinions, because they had to be politically connected inside an organization. But this is where true insight came to us regarding friction in the sales process. What are the sales blockers, right? And this is extremely important. So that's all I had. So these were our 12 learnings. Make sure that you pay. Make sure that get product market fit. Own a memorable headline. Make sure that you are able to crystallize a core feature in 7 seconds. And of course, give you a wow in the product in 30 seconds, roughly 30 to 60 seconds. Make it a habit, 21 days. And make sure that there's customer advocacy. There are 2 levers for customer advocacy. And last but not the least, make sure that a very most important thing is have a customer intimacy ritual. Thank you for time.
I think thanks, Derek. It was fantastic shares. Every time I see Derek, I learn something new, and I
have that phrase that says gone in 60 seconds because there's so much more you can learn. What we'll do now is we'll ask Derek to have a seat here. I have a couple of questions I have here. I want to take as many questions from the audience as well. So just try and frame a question that you may have for Derek. You could ask him post the session, during lunch, in the second half if he's around, and maybe later, a day later, if he's going to play golf or something else. We will make sure your question goes to him. So my first question, have a seat here. We also have an online audience, so we'll... yeah. So there are a lot of seconds that we have spoken about, right? In terms of 3 seconds to introduce yourself. So my name is Vinay Dora, and my question is, I'm wrestling a lot of founder pivots. We feel founders pivot too soon. When do you think somebody with an idea should change their idea if it doesn't work? How long, if you have to estimate, should it be for months? Should it be for years? That should stick around? Personally, I feel people give up too soon. What are your thoughts on that?
Can you rephrase your question?
Yeah, somebody who has a business idea, when should they pivot or change your idea? What should their indicators be that it is not working?
Okay. So going back to, so if you have an idea, right, we have to create essentially a blueprint of what the customer would experience in the market. So in our case, we are saying, hey, alarms, flooding will not be experienced. You'll be able to prioritize and see that. We'll create a screen which says, today you're seeing 1,000 alarms, you'll see 10 alarms. Okay. And just take that mock and show it to the customer. Not only show it to the customer, say, hey, if we are going to release this product in a moment, would you be willing to share your data? You need not pay for me. So they should put some skin in the game. Customer has to put some skin in the game. Skin in the game could be money. Skin in the game could be data. Skin in the game could be their time is also precious. If any of these, all of these 3 things are not there, they're not willing to spend their time, they're not willing to give their data, they're not willing to give dollars, then you have to pivot.
The next question I have is, we have many young, talented students from the IITs, IIITs, NITs, and globally as well. How can they build their portfolio? So you have worked decades in the industry. So you have a resume where you worked in corporate. Many of them have not worked in corporate. So how can they inspire or excite an investor or even a large company as a customer based on their background? How can they build their profile?
So I think India is, I mean, you have 2 goddesses, right? Saraswati and Lakshmi. By nature, we are very Saraswati or knowledge-oriented society, right? I think what we need to inculcate is the Lakshmi part of it. Which means essentially what you say is you need to be able to be a good storyteller. Okay, so you need to have 3 characteristics. One is you should be a hustler, you should be a storyteller, and you should be a hacker. Hacker comes naturally to us. We can hack stuff. Okay. But being a hustler or being a storyteller does not come natural to us. That's not in our DNA, right? The cultural DNA of the. So I think if we are able to do it, and I find BITS Pilani does this very well. That's where I graduated from. I see the students who enter today, first semester itself, they start creating a prototype. They say, I have 8 semesters. Every semester, I'll create a prototype. One of those 8 prototypes will work. I have 4 years, right? For 8 semesters, I create a prototype and hustle it out. By the time they're out, they're able to get, most of them are able to get a term sheet from a VC, okay, before they get the mark sheet. So their mantra is term sheet before mark sheet. Kind of. But I mean, the larger point is, as soon as you enter, I think we should start the hustling part and the pitching part.
In fact, many of people here are from BITS Pilani, in fact, including Gaurav and Ayushi and others.
Shankar Vyas Bhavan.
The third question I had in mind was something you mentioned over there. What is in it for the buyer? So how would you recommend somebody with a business idea to be out in the field? And if so, how should they go about engaging their buyer, whether it's a B2B product or a direct consumer product? How should they go about validating what they're doing is good enough for the customer? You mentioned willingness to pay as one of the...
Yeah, and there's a mistake we made. The sense that sometimes what is good for the company may not be good for the buyer. decision maker. So one of the questions we need to ask is what will get him a promotion next year? Okay, what will get the buyer the promotion next year? What are his KPIs? Where does he have to move the needle? And what tools does he have and not have today to move that needle? Okay, and that is one way of doing it. So there are two kinds of personas. One type of persona is motivated by movement of a personal thing, and there are others who are not really motivated by things. They want to have a legacy with an organization. Especially in the refinery industry, we found a lot of people who said, you come and experiment with us. I want to be the first person who introduced this digital twins into refinery operations, so to speak. Okay, and they walked along with us. So you'll have two types of motivations. What's in it for me motivation, whereas a legacy motivation. You'll have to find out where everything lies.
Great. So I'll ask one more question and I'll keep it open for some of you to ask Derek your question as well. So do frame your question. What frameworks or AI tools would you recommend for early stage entrepreneurs to work on? Because a lot of AI tools have come to the market and there are a lot of frameworks that are already there in the industry, the Lean, Canvas and others. So if you have to recommend a few frameworks and AI tools, what would they be?
So depending on the target audience, I mean, there is no one size fits all, but I'll share our personal experience. So if you are looking at industrial segment in the Middle East market, we were heavily focused on Saudi Arabia. It's a Google Cloud market. So they don't want the data to go around. So anything on Google Cloud flies for them. Okay. But US and other markets, we have seen anything on Azure. And there are a few people who like open source. So it's always a play between open source. You have your lang chains and all of that. Second is Azure oriented and the Google Cloud. Those are the three broad things. That's from an industrial perspective. I don't know the other industries.
So if any of you have ideas here, in the second half, we have some sort of idea pitching activity post lunch. So be here early. Now we'll ask questions. Over to you, sir. Yeah. You have the mic? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have two questions. So you showed an elaborate procedure, right, of going from an idea to a product to a startup, right, and a startup that has funding, right. And of course, we have seen that with people like Steve Blank, you know, the business model canvas and so on. My question is that, you know, we have seen some of the startups come up in the last few years, like OpenAI. Let's talk about OpenAI. Did they really follow this elaborate procedure? Because as far as I know, OpenAI didn't know initially what they wanted to do. Then at some point of time came up with GPT. Then one day finally released GPT as an app, and that's it. That's history. Right.
Okay, I'll qualify.
A couple of questions more before, or you? Okay,
I'll take this question up. So I'll qualify that. So the playbook which I shared was for incremental startups, not for moonshots. Okay. So if you are a moonshot company completely disrupting, you should have unlimited capital to fail, right? And if you're heavily capitalized, which probably we in India are not, okay, they don't take bets. That playbook is not. I mean, you can take those bets. You're rewarded for failure there, not necessarily out here, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in an ecosystem where there's a lot of capital, you're rewarded. There's patient capital waiting for 10 years. This is not the playbook. Okay. That's a different play. That's a moonshot playbook.
Yeah. The second question I have is that, you know, I mean, you have an industry background, right, which he just pointed out, right? But many of the students don't have an industry background. So in the beginning, you need to contact a customer, right? And basically, you know, get the buy-in from the customer, right? So how is the first contact made? Is it through LinkedIn? Is it through, for the students, like some students doing a startup, right? How is the first contact made? LinkedIn, what else? I mean, what are the friends and family, or what, I mean, what's the usual procedure do you suggest?
Very good question. We didn't know the domain. And for example, oil and gas industry, we didn't know oil and gas, to be honest with you. We worked in the consumer space. So what we did was, initially, we said, we will co-create something with you. So we convinced people saying, give us your data, we'll build something out at a certain price point for you, and let's test it out.
For you, right? Who is that you? How did you get in touch with that you?
Oh, how do you land there? Okay. So we were very clear that initially it was the HSE heads health and safety heads because we are solving for this problem. And later it was the production heads. The way we found a pathway to that was, yeah, it was not actually straight science. We went to Houston Petroleum Club. That's where all these guys congregate. Okay. So we had a local guy called Rick who hustled our way into Houston Petroleum Club and made sure we were the only brown boys there. Out there. A hardcore white man, no women also, no Chinese. No. We navigated that, got us inside, and made us collide there. So you'll have to find some local foot soldiers, I would say, especially if you're going into those markets. That was one pathway we did. The second thing which we did was we participated in OTC. It's the #1 oil and gas event in Houston, and we had a partner who gave us a small place in his booth. Okay. So we partnered with the big guys. He said, give us a small space and we'll share that we are using your technology also. So that's how we got visibility, so to speak. Houston Petroleum Club and OTC. LinkedIn didn't work for us. We tried a lot from Bangalore. Okay. At least for this sector, okay? Energy sector, it's high touch. They need to see the person. Didn't work for us. We tried that, yeah.
So we'll take a couple more questions, and because we're running short on time, we have Gaurav and then a lady at the back. Give it to a lady at the back. Yeah.
So, like, first of all, I would like to apologize that I don't know some wordings. Like, I'm like a newbie for these seeds. So my question is that in India, like, we are facing so much in like pollution and all these things. So I can see decarbonization and sustainability. So, like, is there any market of India like with these seeds? I mean,
Next question you have.
So that's probably a question for me, not Derek. Derek's our keynote speaker. I am the chairperson for CEEDS. So CEEDS is Council for Entrepreneurship Enablement, Decarbonization, Sustainability. And it is a mix, like the long name. It is about entrepreneurship enablement, and decarbonization and sustainability is to drive, to illustrate that it is about entrepreneurship driven for impact and purpose. And the market is absolutely there all over the world, because one, we want to bridge the gap between students like you. Everybody is capable of becoming an entrepreneur, in my opinion, and that needs to be built. That's what we are doing here at CommsNet. That's what Rajiv's idea was. That's how I got into CommsNet as a non-academic. To enable entrepreneurial ecosystem for the students. The second part, as you think of in the age of AI, every AI company, and Ranveer is here from Microsoft, every AI company is now also becoming an energy company. You cannot build AI data centers without having a very smart, efficient energy strategy. So decarbonization and sustainability is no longer an optional CSG thing. It is how you are going to build anything anywhere in the world. So there is absolutely market.
So in the second half, we're going to have an open mic, and tomorrow we have a decarbonization workshop. So if you're around here, you can meet our colleague Kundan. And yeah, any more questions?
thank you.
Or else we'll go to the next session. You'll be around here for some time, so happy to.
Thank you.
So thanks, Derek. That was an inspiring keynote speech, and you're a Bitsian, so more reasons to stay connected. Look forward to continuing the conversations, and then if you're staying, we have you on the panel in the afternoon to bring about different perspectives. Now, as part of CommsNet, so please stay. We'll take. Did you take a picture already, Derek?
Yeah, please come down quick.
Please come back. There is a token memento that we give to the speakers. That's a CommsNet's tradition that Rajiv has started. It is, Praveen was here earlier, Praveen Bhagwat. It's 14 Trees Foundation. There's a tree that will be planted in your name in Pune and you will get a QR code with which you can see that. Unfortunately, because of delinquency on our part, that is the EIS organizers, that certificate is not yet ready. It will be shipped to you through email. However, you are going to get a certificate planted in your name. So really appreciate you joining us here. And now, please.
Thank you.
It's a picture.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Moving forward, I would like to invite our next speaker, Professor Ravi Shankar Rao from Fairleigh Dickinson University, who is also an IEEE fellow and a former IBM master inventor, for a fireside chat which will be moderated by Gaurav Ved. Please come onto the stage, sir.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, I have the mic, speak into the mic. That's okay. All right. I'll sit. Okay. You have a browser open? Can I just type in a query later? Maybe after we finish, before we start. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay, just type Ravi Rao, RAVI, RAO, India, China. Okay. Okay, that's
Want to play it?
no. You just show that when you introduce me. So, yeah.
So welcome, Professor Rao.
Yeah.
It's a video, is it?
No, it's not video. Just slide. I'm just show that page. Change your screen. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
All
I
right.
have to mirror this.
No, sure. Actually, yeah.
Stop. Can I just make it mirror? No, it's mirror. That's the other screen. Should have that. old-fashioned.
Okay. Good.
Query. It's not working.
No, it's not. You had that come up here. See, it's here. That's all. Yeah, that's enough. Good.
All right. So welcome, Professor Rao, and it is great to have him here. And we are going to be talking about AI at the edge. This is more a conversation. I host a podcast as well called the Rashmi Podcast. It used to be called the Venture Stories. As part of the rebranding, the podcast is now focused more on wisdom thinking. Earlier, it used to be product thinking. Now it's all about wisdom thinking. And today, of course, I talked about wisdom thinking already. Now we will talk more about AI at the edge, and love to hear Professor Ravi Rao's views on how we can stay relevant. So over to you, sir. Looks like you have some very interesting AI, and is that you?
Yeah, actually, this is building on Derek's suggestion to give like a 3-second thing that will stay in your mind. So maybe this is something that will stay in your mind. Okay. So I start the talk with this and I will end the talk with this. Okay. So and this happened again, no script. You see, the main thing you have to learn, I will add to this storytelling aspect that was mentioned earlier, is that actually we already have it. Most of us like to tell stories and we are improvisers. Okay. If there's a situation that we don't know how to handle, we somehow figure it out on the spot, make up some story, or if you're caught by a cop, let's say, you got to make a story so he doesn't give you a ticket. Okay, so it is part of our DNA. We go haggling, we go shopping. I think it is there. We have not tapped into it. We have not brought it to the forefront to say, what will you do in this situation? Like no script. You know, you can't look at your phone and type a Google query and say, oh, now what do I do? No, it's gone. That moment is gone. Okay, so this is one instant I want to just share with you. Like this happened in China last year. This is already old news in a way, because this robot that you see out here on the side, that was kind of a novelty a year ago on Chinese campuses, because this, by the way, it's not new. These kind of robots were developed by Boston Robotics for $75,000. What China did was copy that and make it available for $1,000. So it's available at universities and students can play with it. So one of my students, he brought this to the class and he gave it to me and he said, well, Professor, here's the control. Now you program it and you make it work. I said, okay, let's take it out for a walk. So we took it out and then we took it to this playground. And then they were playing with some programs like, can we do this? Can we do that? Then I said, oh, do you think this robot can stand on its head? I said, I can stand on my head. So we had this competition. So we both tried this and everybody was amazed and impressed. China has a big tradition of martial arts. They do Tai Chi, they do Kung Fu and all this. But one thing they cannot do is stand on their head. Okay, so this is what I learned when I went there. So they were impressed. And my friend asked me to write an article about my experience in China when I came back. So I wrote this and it's there. All you have to do, go to Google and type Ravi Rao, China, India. That's it. And you'll get this article. Okay. So this is my story. And, I work in this field. I started 42 years ago. At that time, it was one of the few artificial intelligence labs in the world. I was at the University of Michigan. And my job was to design an automated system to inspect semiconductor chips when they are being made. So this is one of the first applications of computer vision in industry. So they hired me, they paid me the money, they gave me the problem, and they said, now go and figure it out. No direction, no nothing. So it took me 5 years. And first 2-3 years was spent just understanding the domain, the knowledge, what do you need to do. And I would just talk to people. I'd talk to my office mate, I would talk to some professors. I would keep going around asking questions. And you have to have a thin skin in the sense, You have to worry about what people are going to say initially, but later on you have to overcome that. So this reminds me of one of the Bollywood movies I saw with my daughter a few years ago with Ranbir Singh. Has anybody seen Simba?
Yes.
Okay, how many of you speak Marathi? 1, 2, 3, okay. A wonderful line in that film. Simba was a police inspector, so he would catch some suspect. And he would ask him a question like, oh, who has done this robbery or killing? That guy would give him, plain information you can find anywhere else. So Ranbir Singh is asking that guy, Je mala mahit nahi, te sang tumi. So tell me what I don't know. What you're telling me, "Arey yaar, I already know this." Solution is you beat up the guy and he will give you the information that you need. So in a way, this is like what my PhD, thesis quest was all about, is trying to tell people something they don't know, trying to come up with something new that does not exist before. Of course, we did not have this, public beating up, but it was a private beating up in the sense your committee would take you to task and say, oh, this idea is nothing new about it. Somebody, this fellow did it, that fellow did it. So you can't get your PhD degree unless you come up with something new. So the bar is pretty high. And my advisor came up with a nice idea. He said, okay, every Friday evening, we will take all the students, he would take us out to a bar. So all these things are there in the previous slide. So this is like another angle on all this. And he said, when you go to the bar, you ask each other questions and you beat each other up. That's good, because it's good for us to discuss the defects of our systems and our thinking and of our algorithms and ideas in our group, because we are a friendly audience. It is better to be ripped apart by your office mate or colleague than to be ripped apart by a competitor. So that was a really good idea. And that's how we developed a lot of things that I've worked on over my career. But I think that initial training, that setup that you need is so important. Otherwise, you become like a bookworm. You keep on digging up references, this, that, and there is no like beauty in your idea. You see, that is what you need to develop an understanding for, is the beauty. Whatever field it is, whether it is art, poetry, literature, music, dance, you have to understand what is that direction and who will give you like an andaz, like a understanding, intuitive understanding of that. So that's really what's required. Now, in terms of finding the information, like tell me what is new. I had to go to the library, find the references, journals, use a photocopy machine, spend half an hour, bring it home, read it, highlight, then understand the connection between this work and that work, and many other works. Slow, very, very slow process. But you developed solid ideas. Today, man, everything is done for you. You just say, okay, give me 25 references on this. You'll get 25 references. Probably half of them are junk and non-existent. So like with every progress, you also take a few steps backwards. So you have to know the distinction between like what is a good authentic source and what is nonsense. Just a couple of days ago, I found a reference to my work. I said, okay, who referenced my work? I looked at that. The first author is correct. The title of the paper is correct. The name, my name and co-author's name are not there. So to me, it was clear this is like a fake reference. Now that is a fake paper that used a fake reference is automatically a fake paper. That fake paper has already got 5 citations within 2 weeks. So now the waters are getting muddied up to an incredible level. It is absolutely absurd. And the people who are driving this are all the universities. All the universities who expect their faculty to publish. And they only say, okay, how many papers did you publish? Okay, 5, very good. We'll give you tenure, we'll give you promotion. But the papers can be garbage. Nobody's reading the paper. Yeah, so I think the whole value system has collapsed, at least in academic publishing. Now, the other side is in industry, you say, okay, you can still come up with similar types of, lots of ideas. But at the end of the day, you say, okay, who's buying your product? What's the market success of this, right? So that's the only metric. That's the only differentiator. But even there's a lot of distortion. Like, nobody's really making money off of any AI product. Most of them are not successful, but money is flowing around. But money flow is also circular. OpenAI gives money to NVIDIA. NVIDIA gives money to OpenAI. And the wheels of the bus go round and round. So we don't know when that is going to stop. So that's yet another challenge that I see from my perspective. Okay, so yeah, let me continue. I think I had a very long-winded introduction. I went way beyond the, 7 seconds and so on. So
No, you actually did a great job of already answering the first couple of questions that I had in mind for you. So I think you've already answered what makes this AI moment fundamentally different from the ones you've seen many waves. And like you said, it's about, I think AI is another wave. And when you talked about doing the research in the library, now you can get all of these things using the AI. So is there anything you would like to add that in terms of all the technology shifts that you've seen across the career as you prepare students for that, specifically about this AI wave? Is there something that is fundamentally different than others that you would like the students or the founders to be skilled in?
Yeah, I think, well, not just skilled, but I think the bar has come really low in the sense, if you have an idea, you can implement it and test it out really quickly. For instance, my PhD thesis, 5 years of work. Now it's there in some computer vision libraries, one function call. That's it. The whole computation algorithm is there. So this is the input, this is the output. It took me 5 years to figure out what should the input be, how good it should be, and what should the desired output be, and what's the algorithm. But once you know the two endpoints, you connect them, you say, okay, find something that does this work, and you can find open source code. Like, we had to write all that code from scratch, and there was very little sharing of code or anything of that sort. Like, almost everything people were doing was the first of that kind, first of this, this algorithm. So
that is very interesting that you say it took you 5 years. Now with the advancement of technology, it is a function call, and it is only going to get accelerated more and more. So from that perspective, one of the things I like to talk about is with AI, it's a combination of skills and mindset, as I said earlier. So is there something related to the mindset shift that you would focus on now in terms of the AI transition?
Yeah, I think, see, what I feel is important is for people to observe. The power of observation has to be very intense. So you have to see what is going on in society. Whatever line of work you choose or your daily life, you say, okay, I'm going through this routine and I find this incredibly annoying. How can I change it? How can I make it a little bit more efficient? Okay, so I'll give you examples. Like just last week, one of the Ford employees, he passed away at age 80. So there's an obituary in Wall Street Journal. So why did they write this article? Because this guy invented a very interesting little widget. So he had this problem when he would go to fill, the gas in his car. He would go to the petrol pump and then get out and find out the gas tank is on the other side. So it felt kind of stupid to him because, I mean, he was working in Ford, so he had to test multiple cars, and sometimes gas tank is this way, that way. He said, it's an annoyance. So all he designed was a small arrow on your dashboard, the gas tank. The arrow says which side is the tank door opening, right? That's it. And he became famous for that. It was an idea that went up the whole Ford hierarchy, and he became famous in Ford. Same way, when I joined IBM, there was this very simple idea of creating a blinking cursor. They used to have these mainframe computers. At that time, it was only one color. Then they became more colorful. They had RGB monitors. And so he designed a cursor that would just blink. So you can see where the cursor is on your screen. And that was a patent. And that just involves exclusive OR. You take a you take a bitmap, exclusive OR it with itself, and keep doing that. And that'll blink. Yet another idea came out of IBM research where I was working. Dino Gazis, he was a mathematician. So he observed, when you see the highway, and there are merge points. If the highway is a little clogged, backed up, and everybody wants to merge at the same time, the highway will get even more clogged. So he introduced a very simple idea, metering. Before you enter the highway, there's a red light, and it allows only like, 1 or 2 cars per 10, 15 seconds. So it slows the input to the highway, and that improves the overall efficiency of the highway. So you see, just one idea like that, and it can change operation in daily life. I'm sure there are examples you can find here and say, like traffic lights, how do you make them? At least here, the traffic light, there's always traffic. Like in US, you'll find some places where there's no traffic, but the light is red. So you can improve efficiency that way, or even loading planes, like when passengers want to board the plane, they go from like the last row to the first row. And so some Caltech physicists came up with an idea of saying, well, you take alternate rows, and you also change the flow of people into the plane differently. So he simulated and showed it works. Now, idea is to take it into operation and say, well, every minute that you save of something is worthwhile.
Yep.
But it's just that mindset.
Yeah. So this is great. At this point, I'm going to throw, as happens in all my podcast conversations, I'm going to throw my script out of the window.
Okay.
Because and you made some points where we'll get back to if there is something in the script that I would like to talk.
Sure.
We'll get back to that at the end.
Yeah.
I think you said something about the power of observation. I fundamentally believe in the power of observation, and paying attention to things is the uniquely human ability. And that is what is the uniquely human ability in the era of AI. Now, you've been in IBM research, you've been a researcher, you've done a PhD. Now you are training other PhD students, and you said something that took you 5 years to write a PhD. Is now a function call. So what advice would you be giving, given all this, that it is, I totally agree with your point about observation. And at the same time, there are plenty of PhD level problems to be solved even now. It's not like everything has been solved. So how would you combine this power of observation to advise people on finding the right research-oriented deep tech problems to solve?
Yeah. Okay. So, my bias in the work that I've done is to look at practical problems. I mean, there are people who will just do theory, they'll prove some theorems or, like in a mathematical sense. So, as I said, you have to look at a domain. So I would suggest picking something that you're interested in, whatever it may be. Okay. That's one perspective. And also something that other people are interested in, right? That is a problem of some importance to society, whether it is like medicine, healthcare. We heard about oil and gas industry. So any industry vertical, manufacturing, automotive, space, and then develop some understanding of that. I would highly recommend, like, go to a place where they use those tools and ideas and technology. Understand what is happening on the floor. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to sit in your office and imagine something is happening out there, which is not. So you're solving a problem that has absolutely no relevance or no benefit to anybody. So better than that is to just take a tour. I mean, go to a factory or something. I assume most of you are interested in applications, right? So I was just reading, like, Xiaomi, this Chinese company that makes cars, right? They offer tours of their factory. And it's harder to get a tour of a Xiaomi factory, a free tour, than winning the lottery, more or less. I mean, it's very, very difficult. But the people who go there are highly inspired when they see the level of automation and just the efficiency and the end product that they're making, how the cars roll off. So just looking at one application like that can give you a lot of ideas, and it can inspire you. And then you need to talk to some of the domain experts and say, how can your life improve, or what is a problem that you're facing? And each one of those can become like a seed point for further development. I mean, this is more in the academic sense that I'm talking.
So it is great hearing this view from an academician, and this is, so I enjoy talking to Professor Anurag Kumar, precisely because I keep sometimes telling him I'm a product person who has been in the industry, that he almost talks like a product person. And that's how you, coming from an academician like yourself and advising people to pick problems to solve based on the real world. Don't sit at your desk. And that with the AI tools that are available right now, you can get sucked into just doing your research with the AI tools itself. So this is very, very practical advice in my opinion. And this is what we want to drive with CEEDS, working together with the academicians that pick problems. There's a lot of real world problems to be solved where PhD level research is required, but pick problems in the real world. So building upon that, now many people talk about the need for deep tech, and there's all these foundation model research that is happening, which to do a foundation model level research, because it's not direct, it's a horizontal kind of platform level research. Maybe you don't, it's not directly applicable to real world, then there are real world problems. And in the Indian tech ecosystem, it's maybe more vertically focused right now, not as much deep tech focused. So do you have a view on which part of the research is more important, how to focus in each of these foundational model research or solving the vertical problems?
I believe, I mean, of course, you need both to be done, but at the current moment, I think these foundation models are already reasonably good, and you can get, measurable improvements in many things that you observe, like many operations. And that has not been done. People are still just chasing like better model, one after the other. There are hundreds of open source free models available. Why don't you pick one of them, implement, use, measure the efficiency of that model, and then if a better model comes, you just swap. That's it. Okay. So the entire workflow is already thought out. You know how you're going to structure interaction. So I'll give you an example. Again, going back to my experience in China just 6 months ago, one student said, I want to write a paper with you in 3 months. I said, okay, that's a tall order. I don't even have an idea that I can give you just like that. But I said, let us look at our class. How is the grading done? I said, oh, the professor just gives points for each homework assignment. I said, okay, let us use AI and let us do automatic grading. But we'll also have an instructor, observance whether the AI generated feedback is good or not. And we had a mixed trial model, like for clinical trials, you want to always prove, like you have a control group where you didn't have any intervention, and you have a group that has intervention. And so we measured, because in the literature has very little information about how good these models are, what is the efficacy, what's the improvement, let's say, in student performance. I found almost zero, nothing, no information at all. So I said, I have to create my own data. So that's where I said, okay, we'll measure it on our class, 100 students. The student wrote the code. It was standalone. It's dirt cheap, free. Okay. Whereas if you go to learning management systems and so on that, Microsoft and so on want the universities to buy, it's at least $50,000 a year. So this is virtually free and people can use it. So we published a paper last month and it's there for people to use. So that's what I would recommend. You just take an existing model, just pick whatever you want. Here we use DeepSeek because it's available in China. And the advantage is it's the best engine that can give feedback in Chinese and English, both. So Google cannot give good feedback in Chinese. So we use that and it worked. So you have to just understand what is the requirement in this case and design a solution. And then of course, the next step is to scale it up and so on. But that's more in the hand of university administrators. And I can't get into those things, right? It's not in my domain. But for my satisfaction, I have proved that, yes, this is a free solution that can be used by any education institution in the world. Okay.
So, thanks. I have so many more questions, but we are running very late. Okay. So in the interest of time, at this point, I would turn it over to the audience.
Sure.
If anybody has questions for Professor Rao, we'll take 1 or 2 questions, and it's already lunchtime. So
okay. I can smell the parathas. Tandoori.
Yeah. So recently, China has come up with a new model of patent, plan that a patent is only going to be accepted if it is converted to a product and monetized.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has to work along with the corporate problem statement that will come from the companies
Yeah.
and the corporate, what
That's
kind of
right.
problem statement they're getting. Research is going to be aligned to that one. The solution is only going to be accepted with the thesis only when it is productized and monetized.
Okay. I
Okay.
see.
So what is your thought? Why India? Because if, and knowing the fact that China has 70% patents in AI and 75% patent in energy, okay, which are the two fundamental things that every country is looking after. What is your guidance for Indian education system right now?
Okay, so I mean, there are actually multiple patenting models in the world, like systems used in the US. You don't have to have something that is even working. You don't even need a prototype. It has to be workable by an expert in the field. So if you give it to somebody who is well versed in the field and say, "This is the design, this is how it's going to work," that's good enough. So I don't know the implication of that. Probably will be the number of patents filed by Chinese inventors will go down because the proof, the burden is quite high to say that yes, it has to be workable and it has to have some value. And that's actually not even the intent of the patent system. Patent system is simply to say, you have an idea, you can gain protection for that, and you can prevent other people from using it. So maybe they'll have two different models, like they will file patents in the US, large number of them, and then probably they'll file fewer in China. Okay, and actually at the end of the day, it's very hard to prove that somebody has infringed on your invention, because you can always change a small thing and say, look, I mean, I didn't do this. Your invention says you have to do all of this. I didn't do step 5. So my invention is different. So it then goes back to the court system and legal fees and so on. Yeah, but I'd say maybe they are forcing the engineers to be more practical in China. It's like, if you want to get the, let's say, the rewards of filing a patent, then you do more work. Give me a prototype. So that will accelerate probably the invention and implementation. And I think China already has a huge lead in many of these fields, and it probably just accelerate. Yeah.
So maybe one last question if anybody has it. Otherwise, okay. If there are no other questions, we will end it. And
Okay.
so I can, so again, there'll be a 14 trees
Okay.
thing
Thank you.
planted for you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not ready
No worries. Thank
yet,
you so Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. So lunch is served. We have run over time. So after lunch, it works perfectly now, because what we'll do is after lunch, there'll be an open room dialogue. Based on whatever you heard in the morning, everybody please come back. There's DCARBX workshop tomorrow. As part of that, there are some challenges that we want to seed into the DCARBX workshop. So everybody gets to throw challenges, and we'll facilitate the discussion. And after that, we have another founder story. Then later on today, you'll get to hear from Dr. Ranveer Chandra from Microsoft, who is also one of the general chairs. That should be a very interesting session. No pressure, Ranveer. And then in the afternoon, we have a panel of Derek, Ranveer, VC, as well as the incubator. So it would be a great session in the afternoon. Please come back. We'll start just a little after 2. Thanks. So Derek.